Hello, I am Curtistene McCowan, the proud mayor of the All-America City of DeSoto. Welcome to our segment, today's segment on Focus on Leadership. And I'm very excited today because I have sitting with me for this program is none other than our police chief, Joe Costa. Chief Costa, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to be here. Thank you for inviting me to this program.
Well, it is such a pleasure to have you. One of the things I thought would be really, really good for our viewing audience is if you could just give us a little bit of background, Chief, on how long you've been with the City of DeSoto as police chief and some of the organizational changes you've made since you joined our family here in DeSoto.
Absolutely. I came to DeSoto as your chief in 2012, April of 2012, and I came from the Dallas County Sheriff's Department where I was a chief deputy there. And when I came to the department, I saw that we needed to do some organizational changes so that we could be better at what we do. And a couple of things I did that immediately made an impact was that I moved some people from administration and put them back into patrol so that we had more staffing on the street so that our response times would be lower and we could address issues a lot quicker. And the second thing I did was put a lieutenant in charge of each shift. We have 4 shifts and we have 4 districts in the city. And so I put a lieutenant over each shift and a lieutenant over one of the districts in the city. And we divided the city up into 4 quadrants, so they each had a district that they were responsible for. And with that, we have meetings every week to discuss some of the issues in staffing and also some of those issues that happen in the districts. And that has proven to be invaluable because we are more on top of what the issues and the crimes and the things we have to take into consideration to deploy our staff and to better concentrate on our resources.
Thank you, Chief. And I know one of the things that you've really demonstrated just excellence in leadership is embracing this whole concept of community policing, and that's been one of your major focus areas. What is the goal of community policing?
Well, community policing to me and our department is that you become part of the community. The police department and the police officers become part of the community. They partner with the citizens of DeSoto and try to make sure that the city is neat and clean and also safe and secure. And with that, we have to attend meetings and we have to, again, be part of that community, but work with the schools, work closely with the schools, with other city departments, with the faith-based community, so that we're close with all of those entities within the city. And to have that trust, you have to have an understanding of each other. So when we're closer with the community and the citizens, we develop an understanding. Citizens understand where we're coming from, what we need to do, and we understand more of what the citizens want from us and what they expect from us. And in turn, we can expect things from the citizens. Together, we can develop a responsibility, and those 3 things go together. We'll develop a trust where we can trust and confide in each other.
Well, I know one of the things you've done, you blessed one of your, a member of your team to work for WFAA.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell us how that came about and the exposure that our city has gotten just as a result of him serving in that capacity.
Well, that was something that just kind of fell in our laps. Our PIO, Kathy Jones, came to me one day and asked if we'd be interested in selecting someone to work with WFAA and they're doing their traffic in the morning and traffic reports. And so immediately I said yes. And I didn't know who I would pick for that, but the first one that came to mind would be Sergeant, at the time he was Corporal Nick Bristow, because he just has that personality.
Yes.
And we're about to really do well on camera and also be able to think fast on his feet and be able to work well with the crew that's at WFAA. So I went to him and asked him if he'd want to do that. He agreed, and went to some type of testing for them, and they accepted him, and so it worked out well. The big thing it brought for us is it brought notoriety to the city, and also it brought an understanding of policing to the community. He would be in positions at times to make certain responses and answers for things that happen in this day and age, some of the things that have occurred, and he would then give his side, or the police side, of what was going on, and also make people understand that, what was right, what was wrong, and have a better understanding for policing. But it also made us appear to be human, and that he would kid around with the group there, and he would also do some little skits at times. But it brought a better understanding and some humanity to policing.
Well, I want to commend you for that, and I think it's also one of the reasons why even our school district, whenever they're getting ready to do something, they feel so open and just excited about you and your department just being a part of it. And most recently, we went down to Channel 8 with the high school, and of course that was just an excellent demonstration, I think, as well, of community policing, because the police force was represented, the administration, along with our school district. And so I just stood back and observed the kind of relationship with the superintendent and his cabinet that you and your team have built, the relationship you've built with them and the students. And so again, I could go on and on about that, but it's just really great what you're doing there. Chief Costa, a couple of months ago, you were the featured speaker at a town hall meeting that was hosted by Dr. Weta Lee and Church of the Disciple. It was highly attended, and I just sat back and I watched how engaged the citizens were who attended that meeting. What were your takeaways from that meeting, Chief Costa?
The town hall meetings and any meetings that we go to for HOAs or different community functions are always important, because we get to learn of the issues and the wants and needs of the citizens of that side of the community, that part of the community. There may be things that are issues that concern the whole entire city, but there may be some specific issues that are just unique to that part of the city. So it's always good when we go to those meetings, because we learn of the things that are important to those people that attend. And from that community meeting, it's important that we share crime stats and crime information and safety tips with the people that attend, and also learn from them what their significant issues are. And as with everywhere, people want to know, what are the crime trends? What should I be concerned with in my neighborhood, and what's going to keep me safe? And for me, it's always good to learn what those issues are from those parts of the community. And it's also important for me to let the citizens know what they can do better to keep themselves safe. And no matter how much I preach it, I keep telling them, if you see something, say something. If they see something in their neighborhoods, then people need to call us, and they can call a non-emergency number at dispatch, which is 972-223-6111. And they can give us some information of something that just doesn't look right, and we'll send out an officer and we'll check into it. We'll look and see if we can find out what's going on. If nothing's going on, then fine, but if there is, then we can stop it and nip it in the bud. But my takeaway is always to learn of the issues that are with each community. And again, some of them are citywide, and some of them are unique within those certain parts of the city.
And I know you and your leaders in the department are not only just going to the town hall meetings or forums like that, but you also are constantly looking for opportunities to speak, whether it is at school programs, and so you work very closely with the schools. What are some of the programs you work with at the schools?
With the school, we have SROs at the school resource officers, and so they work there every day. But we try to do some other community things with the students of the school. We work with their criminal justice part of the school, and we go there and we speak with them and try to get them more engaged with law enforcement. We do a school student advisory committee that we have, and we do some types of informational meetings with the students. Last year we had a meeting called Comply Now, Complain Later.
Yes.
And we wanted to teach the youth that are getting ready to drive or that are drivers of what it takes to be involved in a traffic stop. Yes. And what it is to be involved with any type of contact with a police officer. Because it's important that they know what we're going to do and what we're looking at, and that they're not afraid of us, and also they understand what the stop is for or what the contact is for and how to react in a certain way. That was a huge success. In fact, Senator Royce West is now, he put in a bill last year, there's now a law where they have to teach some type of a Comply Now, Complain Later program within each driver's ed course.
Wow.
So we try to be close to the students. We work with the football team, the basketball team,
Yes.
And we're close to them, as you said before, and we're always ready to go and do something with them, because it's important that we be part of that youth so that we have that good partnership as they grow up and that and they become adults.
Well, you know, most citizens may know this already, but I'm sure there are some who don't know that you've worked with Senator West on something else that's, I mean, it's now picking up all over the country,
Yes.
and that's the body cams, right?
That's right. Yes,
you want
ma'am.
to say a little bit about that?
Sure. The department, I came to the department in 2012, as I said earlier. In 2011, the department started with body cameras. They were one of the first departments in the state to take on the body cameras and issue them to officers. We've grown that program since I've been with the department, and now everyone in the department has a body camera. And we have a good policy, a good solid policy that guides us in how to use those and keep those and keep the recordings. And we now even have our animal control and code enforcement in our jail. People who work in our jail, they have them. So everyone has them on them, and they're a good tool. But when Senator West was looking for to put in a bill again on body cameras, he came to us, and we worked with him, partnered with him with our policy. We made an informational video with him and I, and we passed that along to other districts and cities, and as well as other legislators, and the body camera bill became a law.
Yes.
And I'm proud to say that we had a big part in that. So the city of DeSoto had a part in the body camera law, and now another law that goes into the schools for teaching the youth of Comply Now, Complain Later. So it's good to be part of that.
Well, I just, you know, our community, over and over again, we are complimented on the things that are going on, but we are always trying to make sure that we're not reacting, that we're proactive in DeSoto. So I just want to make sure our viewing audience knows that. You know, you talked about the body cams, and there's another, you know, it brings up something else to mind that's new that you're doing with cameras. You've asked homeowners
Yes.
to share their information about the cameras that they have mounted at their homes. Can you share a little bit about that that's a new program?
Yes. Sure. Most homes now have home security cameras, and it's important that they protect their property and their lives with security cameras and other security features. Well, knowing that these are very prevalent now, we happened to solve a murder case in the city with the use of the footage from video from one of the homeowners that lives next door to where the crime was committed. Invaluable resource for us. So we decided that, like other cities have and other police departments, to work on a database that would have the home addresses and names of the owners of the homes of who had security cameras in certain neighborhoods. And so we're trying to build up on that list now. It's important that we have those so that if a crime is committed in a neighborhood, we can go to our database and see who has security cameras on their homes or on their property, and then go to those neighbors and check right away for any video footage. It's easier than going searching the city and looking up at homes to see who has cameras.
Sure.
Now we can go right to our database. So that's brand new. That's an important program that we're hoping that most homeowners will participate in, and we look forward to growing that list. We're not looking to steal their video. We just want the names of the homes that have it, so that we can go in and speak with them if in fact we need that video for evidence.
So do they go online to sign up for that?
Yes, ma'am. They can go on a website. They can go
Okay.
on our Facebook and get the information, but
Okay.
they can call Sergeant Bristow or Officer Jessica Ryan, who is our community liaison, and they'll be glad to sign them up. But the easiest way is on a website. If they can get online, go on a website and submit their names that way.
Good, thank you, Chief. And let's talk a little bit about training.
Okay.
I know the question comes up, does the police department do diversity training? And I would just ask you to comment on that.
Okay, sure. TCO, which is Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, is what guides us and commissions us and also certifies us as police officers. They have requirements of training for all police officers, 40 hours every 2 years. Part of that 40 hours is a diversity training course that we all have to have, and it's something that's recurring every 2 years. So we have to have that by law. But in DeSoto, we wanted to take it one step further, and so we provide another cultural diversity course. We try to make it 8 to 16 hours, depending on the speaker that comes in. It's tough to get training around for every officer when you have to work around shifts and days off and vacation. So 8 to 16 hours is a good amount of time to schedule for any type of specific training. So we bring in a presenter every year, not every 2 years, and we try to focus on cultural diversity, but on a different angle of cultural diversity. Recently, this last year, we brought in someone from Florida who's an expert in cultural diversity, but it's also about a different aspect, which would be generational diversity. So looking at diversity not only in race, but in ethnicity, but also in age, gender, because everybody has certain perspectives that they look at things with due to their own situation, no matter whether it be a culture or whether it be some type of a handicap or age. And so we try to address all of those so that we bring a better rounded training to our officers so that they can deal with just about any situation. We also have officers within the department, Hispanic, Asian, and also African American, Caucasian. We try to use some of those cultures of the people that are within the department to help train our officers just informally, if you will, so that we understand our officers and their culture, which will help us understand the culture of the community we work in.
Great, great. One of the things that you've also done since you came to the city of DeSoto, and I have to tell you, this is something near and dear to my heart. You were very supportive when I met with you about the need for this city to again become more proactive as it relates to what was happening with domestic violence. And so could you talk a little bit about what we've done since we met to discuss what we'd like to do in this city and where we are now?
Absolutely. I know that domestic violence and eradicating domestic violence is near and dear to your heart, and that's a passion of yours to work toward eradicating domestic violence. And domestic violence, family violence issues are our #1 call for service in this city and probably in every city throughout the country. We're not unique to any other city. And they're probably one of our most dangerous calls because you never know what you're walking into and who you might meet at those calls for service. So I, like you, would like to eradicate them also, so that keeps our officers safe as well as the community. But what we did was you and I sat down and we talked about maybe developing a committee that we could form. The police department would be the liaison, the connection to that, and the goal of that committee would be to work toward programs, participating or establishing some programs or direction for not only the police department but for the city, so that we can help victims and also perpetrators. We want to help the perpetrators so that they get better and not reoffend. So a committee was formed. You helped us get there, and with your help, it's also now a commission. So we now have a Domestic Violence Advisory Commission to provide advice to not only us but the city on which direction we need to go in to help some of those victims and develop some programs to eradicate domestic violence. So they've been in place now for almost 3 years.
Yes.
And the commission meets every month at the police department. We help facilitate those meetings, and we help them with whatever direction they want to go, whatever programs they want to develop. Also, with your help in the city council, they've developed a budget, and they have a pot of money, not a whole lot, but enough to try and get started to develop those programs and help to enhance some of the good things we're doing, but also to establish some other things that we can do as a police department and as a city for eradicating domestic violence. I think it's a great program. We've started slowly, but I think that we're picking up steam now, and I think it's going to be good for the city.
I do too, and thank you so much for that, because I know you could easily say our plate is full with all these different groups we're working with. That is one doing a really great, I would say your department is doing a great job of keeping this, the commission moving forward, and making sure that the council is aware of what is happening there and the progress that's being made, and the things that we need to do to really kind of keep this program on track. So thank you so much for your leadership. But also, there are a number of other organizations you're working with. So could you share with our viewing audience information about those organizations and perhaps how our citizens can get involved?
Okay, sure. One of the other organizations we've been part of, and again, they were part of this before I came here, but we've kind of grown it and enhanced it, is the DeSoto Police and Clergy, DPAC as we call it. And DeSoto Police and Clergy has a lot of different programs under their umbrella. One of the things that they do is ministers on call, so that if we get victims of any type of crime, or we get to a scene where there's been trauma to any person, a victim, we can call them, and they can get in contact with those victims or witnesses and help to counsel them, help them get into any kind of programs that we think they might need for social services. They also do a jail ministry where they come down to our jail once a week, and they will try and counsel people that are in jail and help them get on track, and maybe provide them with some type of resource that wasn't available to them before, and help them get their lives back in order, or at least get through this situation that they're in while they're in jail. We work with the HOAs in our city to help with crime prevention, to help with code enforcement issues. And we have 63 or 64 HOAs, active HOAs in our city now, so that's quite a few.
Yes, it is.
And they meet every week. Some of them are meeting on Thursdays mostly, but some on Mondays and Tuesdays. We try to go to a lot of those meetings to provide some of those crime tips, and also to work with them to find out, again, what are the issues in their little neighborhood, and to help them out and make them better and safer. We work with the school, as we said earlier. We try to develop programs with the school so that the youth of the city work with the police department and work with us. So we also work with other faith-based groups. Again, there's 250 plus churches in the city, if you believe that. In our 26 square miles, we have 250 something churches. And we try to go out with them. We try to work with their programs. We go to a bunch of barbecues and different things that the churches are having, so that we can get to know the congregation within those churches, and provide them with some insight. We do those town hall meetings. We have Citizen Police Academy, which we do once a year. We're in the middle of one right now. And that's good, so that people can come out and learn about not only our police department, but what law enforcement's all about. See the tools and the resources that we have, give them a better understanding of what we do and why we do it. We have Citizens on Patrol, where we have volunteers that come out, and they're our eyes and ears out on the street. They have a nice uniform, they have a vehicle that we provide for them, and they have radio communication to our dispatch and to us to go into the community, and if they see something we need to address, then we can call an officer right down and go and help them. So we do a lot of things in the city.
Yes.
Those are just a small amount of what we do, but we try to work with different groups, and again, it's a perspective. Everybody has their own perspective and their own needs, and so we try to address as many of those as we can.
And as I said, you know, when you talk about, or this program is about community policing, so this all just ties right back to the whole theme of and purpose of community policing. I always tell people, Chief, we're not perfect in DeSoto, but we're always looking for ways to improve how we do business.
Yes, ma'am.
As we conclude this segment today, I would like you to comment on what DeSoto can do to enhance community policing here in our community.
Well, you know, we have to be partners, as we said before. It has to be the community and the police working together, and we have to work together for that one common goal of being safe, secure, and have a city where we can live, work, and play without fear of any type of crime or any person. So with that, you know, we have to communicate with each other. We have to be better at having some of those town hall meetings, being in attendance for those,
Yes.
being in attendance at HOAs. A community has to be part of the solution. We're there. We're open 24/7. I will supply officers to whatever event that comes up where we need to be at, or any type of meeting. I try to make them all, as you know. You and I are all over the city.
Yes.
And as many as I can make, I will. But if I can't make it, I will have an officer, one of my command staff there to talk about crime stats, being safe, things that people can do better. They have to be our eyes and ears. And I always say, we said earlier, if you see something, say something. And they can call that non-emergency number that we talked about earlier if they see something, just something suspicious or it just doesn't look right. I'd rather respond 9 times out of 10 and nothing happens than miss that one time when we could have responded and someone didn't call. So they have to take the initiative to be part of the solution. Come out to the meetings. I'm willing to come out to neighborhoods, even if it's a small family gathering or a neighborhood, one street, to talk about issues that are happening, whether it be speeding, whether it be some breaking and enterings or BOVs of their vehicles that are happening. Anything that's of a concern to a small community or a large area, I want to be out there so that we can come up with a solution and they can understand what we do and how we're going to go about doing it. So again, my biggest thing is let's partner together. The biggest thing they can probably do to learn about the police department is come out and do a ride along with our officers. If they can call the police department and schedule a ride along, I think that would open their eyes about what policing is all about and what the DeSoto officers do, because we've got great police officers in the city. I've been with several departments and I travel around the United States for different conferences and boards that I sit on, and I can tell you that we have some of the finest officers in the United States here in DeSoto. I would match them up against anybody in any bigger department or any other smaller department that's just as busy as us.
Well, I tell you what, Chief, I tell people this publicly, and I don't just say it privately, I say it publicly. And I want our citizens to know that as your mayor, I believe, now he talks about in the area, in the United States, we have the best police department in the world. And I just cannot tell you how much I appreciate your leadership. And it is such an honor and a pleasure to work with you, Chief. And we are all over the place. So many times we smile about that. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our program today on Focus on Leadership, featuring none other than our Chief, Joe Costa. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.